Hello, how's everybody doing? Yeah, this one is about the Jehovah Witness conscience. Okay, I was working on one of them that was coming up, but this one just popped out because it's it's very interesting, and it was like going. I got I got the information from this one by working on another video, and I decided to give this one since it was so interesting. So anyway, this one is the Jehovah Witness conscience, and what I have a vegan cookie, but I'm not gonna eat it. I'm gonna wait. I hope everybody's doing fine. So this is the points that I was gonna come up with. Um, One is the conscience. I mean, like, what kind of conscience do they have? Then I'm going to go into the new system and how there's no judgment and we're sinners. And the last point I'm going to make is about how do you improve on yourself? How do they improve on themselves? And just so everybody know, I was a Jehovah Witness, and I have family Jehovah Witness. I was very popular in Jehovah Witness as far as being a Jehovah Witness. So I got to learn a lot of people. I went to over easily. I've been through maybe at least a little bit more than 10 congregations that I went to in my time as far as being a Jehovah Witness. So the first thing I wanted to say is the conscience. Their conscience, I don't know where to get the conscience from, because you have so many rules and regulations that the brothers, quote unquote brothers, give you. So how can you improve? How can you find your conscience? So the conscience has to be kind of like hidden, because when I was a Jehovah Witness, I remember you had to do so many things. And I remember when I was working for this one store that I had to work for, it was Montgomery Ward, and I was a cashier. And I remember I used to go from department to department, and one of the departments that I worked in, the manager, everybody, all the kids, I was very young, all the kids were like, I'm ringing this manager's number. And he goes, and when I got him registered, he said, just ring the manager's number. I go, why is this? Because you make them, you make them happy. And I remember, was it my conscience that said, I couldn't? I just knew that it was wrong, okay, as far as Jehovah's Witness is concerned. It was like point blank, that's what they didn't want me to do. That's what that's what I was taught. But it wasn't anything in depth. Like, like as far as, it's God watching you and this and all this other stuff, like a young conscience. So, the manager thought it was really nice. He wanted to hire me at the department, and I didn't want to work there, and I told him no. But there was another thing, like I told you before, when I was supposed to sell cigarettes, and I didn't sell cigarettes. And I was thinking now, was it a conscience that I had? And I remember, this is what I remember now that I'm going back to that. I couldn't draw on anything, I remember. I just knew that it was wrong, okay? I wasn't supposed to do it. And then later on, I did it anyway. So, I remember when this guy told me to buy cigarettes. I didn't smoke or anything. I was pretty much very young. And, like probably 19. And then I went, and I remember the cigarette machine. I remember going in a hallway and thinking, I didn't have anything to draw on. I was like, like if I knew God, I could have just prayed and He would give me an answer. I mean, the way that He gives answers, But I was like, like, should I or should I? And then I go, no, I can't do it. It was like just me. And then I told him, no, I can't do it. And he goes, why? I said something because it's not good for you or something like that. But then after, when we got our tips and everything at night, the manager told me, she goes, so what are you going to do next time somebody asks for cigarettes? I say, I'm going to sell it to them. So, that's what kind of conscience the Jehovah Witness has, you know. So it's really like a pool. Like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? And you have to think about, well, are somebody's gonna find out in the congregation? If somebody doesn't find out, if somebody can't find out in the congregation, that's something. See, there's no really conscience there. Nobody can find out. And you can't say anything, or it doesn't exist. You know, and that's a lot of times when you're a Jehovah Witness, you have to just say it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? I remember, I'm not going to say that about my sister, but I remember something with tranquilizers, but I'm not going to say that. But anyway, it's just like that. That's how it really goes. It's like you never really find your conscience, okay? Because how can you? Because the thing about it is you have all these things you have to do, okay? And that would take the place of the conscience. You have to go out in field service, okay? And then you have a conscience there, okay? Because I remember when I used to fill out the time slips, excuse me, and sometimes I didn't really know, like if I did 8 hours, but I know you had to have 8 hours. But I would put some, I'm almost sure most of the time I put 8 hours and kind of, like, how you fix it in your mind, like, yeah, it was 8. Oh, I did this, I did that, I did that, I did that. But there was not really, now that, I mean, you can't really see a conscience. A conscience is like, definitely your conscience. Everybody has their own conscience. I mean, if you have it developed in the world, like, I'm not talking about Jehovah's Witness, but in the world, you know that you have to have some kind of, you have to set boundaries for yourself. And it's strong boundaries, okay? But as far as I can say, quote unquote, their truth, the truth. When I say that, y'all know what I'm talking about. I mean, you make decisions, and like I said, with the time slips, I would say 8 hours, and I would kind of fix them on my, okay, I did this, I did that, I did that. Well, that's like, and that's what, and like that. But there was a time when I could see my conscience, but it wasn't really developed. Because I remember when I knew I'm not going to say my cousin. I'm going to say, okay, I can say my cousin because I remember she would make money because you make contributions, and she counted because she needed the money because she was a pioneer. So she knew how much money she was making, because you can make a lot of contributions, okay? Because you pay for the material. This is how it used to be. You pay for the magazines and everything, and people could give you contributions. And she made very well on contributions. Me, I felt bad about contributions. I never counted a cent every time I was doing this. So that could be like a conscience that I didn't even know I had. That's the conscience part, where when I when I would get money from people and stuff like that, I would never take that much. It was like I never made something to where I never was in that state of mind. It was just like nothing, you know what I mean? I paid for it, and my conscience didn't allow me, my real conscience that I didn't even know I had, that wasn't worked upon, never allowed me to think about anything like I'm making money off of magazines, okay? So, but what I'm trying to say is it wasn't developed. I didn't know I had it because I had to worry about the time. You have to worry about going to the meetings. You can't do all these other things. Then I was sinning, okay? That's in my tapes. Everything that I did bad, I was telling you about that. I had to worry about that, but I didn't worry about it as far as the conscience is concerned. I worried about it as being a Jehovah Witness was concerned. So the conscience is kind of wrecked, or is kind of damaged, or it doesn't really get a chance to be developed because you have all those things. And I told you the time, my brother sometimes listens to these things, and I mention him, but I remember, like I was telling you, I told you this before, that my sister had to ask the brothers if she could have a dinner with them or something like that. I think that's the right story, Ronnie. Okay, I'm sorry. His name is Ronnie. So anyway, So she had to ask the brothers. So that's another thing. It's just like I mean, not, I'm not even talking about a relationship with God. A relationship with God and having a conscience it's like, it's two separate things. So she couldn't use her conscience at all. So pretty much isn't existent. Another reason why it's not existent and it's hindered is because you can't talk to your family members. So if you can't talk to your family members, that means you don't have, I mean, your conscience is pretty much hindered, okay? Because I remember when my brother or somebody was disfellowship or something, I guess I could say my brother, and my sister also, one time she wasn't doing well. And I talked to them, okay? I couldn't, that was a part of the conscience. I mean, I could not say something to them. And I told you one time, now I could see that it was my conscience because one time my brother came in and then he had to leave before the meeting was over or something like that. And he was in the car and my conscience broke up. It was like I could see it. I didn't know it was conscious. Now let's talk about it. You have to go say something. Should I go say something? Yes, I have to go say something. So I went out, I left the congregation and went out to the car and I said something to him, that's all. Now, did my sisters in them have a conscience? I remember I was going back to the meeting once. I don't know if I put this in my tapes, okay? No, I'm almost sure I didn't put it. This is one slight point. I can't believe I didn't put it in the tapes. But because it was an incident. It was the only time I went back. I told you there's 2 times I went back. But this is the time I went back with my ex-wife, okay? Well, we were married then. But I got out of the car and I saw my sister, my older sister, and some other people. I'm almost sure somebody else. I'm almost sure I was her because she was driving or something. And I ran up to the window and I said, "Oh, I haven't seen you all in a long time. How are you doing?" And they rolled up the window. I can't believe I even forgot to put that in there. They rolled up the window. And I ran to the car saying, "Oh, it's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you all in a long time." And they just looked at me like this and rolled up the window. So what kind of conscience is that? I mean, can you actually... I mean, a conscience, now that I think about it, a conscience is really something very beautiful because it responds automatically. It doesn't it doesn't lag. I mean, if you develop your conscience very well, I mean, it works real fast. So that's another thing so that's one big point about the conscience. Now I'm going to the new system that they have. The new system, how in the world can it be a new system? Because now I came up with this. I mean, I figured out this. And what it is that we're all sinners. I mean, like, if we're all sinners, how in the world can I have a new system if we're all sinners? I mean, and not just that, but they're sinners and we're sinners. How can 2 groups of sinners actually, how can they differentiate themselves and saying that, "Oh, I'm a better sinner," or "I'm a better sinner"? So that's another point. They can't say that they're better sinners, and because they're better sinners, they get the new system. And not just that, but they never talk about God in the when they talk about their new system. It's just something greedy because it's like you don't talk about God, you just go to the new system. Not just that, but there's a judgment. I mean, like, where do you get judged, you know? And everybody's a sinner, but the main point is everybody's a sinner. It's just like they're saying that they're better sinners than we are when everybody's sinners. So, but to them, the only thing they have to do, instead of getting judged, whereas somebody who's a Christian and who's not in the Jehovah Witness, they say, oh, they're going to get judged, and you have to, you just prepare to get judged, you know what I mean? All the time you think about, well, if I do this, can I do that? Or I did this in my life, I did that in my life. But to them, that's hindered too, because they have all these things that they have to do, and they can't get judged. I mean, they can't judge themselves because they have too many things in the way. If you have too many things in the way, you can't really concentrate on yourself. You can't worry about a judgment. But most of the time, they only talk about the new system. How am I going to get in a new? No, they don't even worry about going in. They just know they're going in a new system. So that's another thing that's hindered the fact that they never really realize that they're sinners. And they also think, as far as the new system is, when you die, you're dead, okay? Which doesn't make any sense at all either, because when you die and you're dead, there's no reason for life and death. I mean, can you understand what I'm saying? Because if you're dead, and you don't, and there's nothing, as they say, then there's no problem. I mean, just think about it. I mean, like, if you die and you're dead and there's nothing to worry about, and there's nothing else, it's just a total death, then it doesn't make any sense, because then life wouldn't make any sense. Because if you're dead, you're gone, you don't have to worry about anything, and then there's life. But they don't realize that life in itself is a sentence, you know what I mean? And what we have to do to really enjoy life, and we have to know God in order to live the life that we want to live. And not just that, but we have to be a certain type of person. So there's a rule. I mean, there's something very, very, which the reason why I'm kind of slowing down, because I wanted to show you there's another fine line. It's the fact that you really, really have to think about the thing about life. You can't take it so easily as the Jehovah Witnesses do, and just say being lazy and saying that you just die and you're dead and that's it. Because I remember going to door to door and telling people, when you die, you're dead. That's it. You know what I mean? I hate that I did that, and I hate that I said, also another stupid thing I said was, Jesus is not God. God is, the Father is the Father, and Jesus is Jesus. And I just said that right off the top of my head. And those are two things that I really don't like that I ever said. So anyway, that's what I'm trying to say to them. So the new system is another thing as far as judgment is concerned. And you don't have a conscience. So how in the world can you prepare yourself? Because if God said this and God said that, I mean, how can he read your conscience? Maybe he reads our conscience or something. He most likely can read a conscience because he knows what we do. He can test us by our conscience. You know what I mean? Because he lets us be who we want to be, but I'm almost sure, because I know he tests my conscience a lot of times. Because if I do something, he'll see if I do this, or if I do that, or if I do this. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, as far as I'm concerned, I would probably do something that would be going in the wrong direction, and he would not say anything. This is my relationship with God, and he wouldn't say anything. But then I would get hints that, hey, do you really want to do this? And then I gotta get back online or something like that. So that's as far as the new system is concerned, which doesn't make any sense either, because if you have a new system, that means there's no judgment, and that means they don't have to work for anything. So that's very lazy. And it doesn't make any sense, because all the people that are bad, that they think are bad, they just die which would not be a judgment, which would not be bad. I mean, if you just die, that's it. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. That's a thin line that you really have to think about. I'm sorry for pointing. But then the last point is, how can you improve as a person? You can't improve as a person because, first of all, you don't have a conscience, or your conscience is not developed. You have one, but it's all over the place. You don't even know where it's at. You don't even know when you're using it. So how can you develop yourself? Okay, you're not working toward anything. The only thing you're working toward is a new system. It's it. And you have to sell books, and you have to go to the meetings, and you have to do all that. So you don't get a chance to really
I can't.
see who you are. And that's another point that really, I don't really feel really deeply about my friends as far as the Jehovah Witnesses are concerned, because we never could have deep conversations like this. I mean, it couldn't exist because we don't really get to know ourselves. So on this last point is, they really can't become more of who they are, because they're always worrying about the new system around the corner, around the block. Okay, they don't have like a sense of eternity. Like, for instance, okay, even if people plan to die, they still have a sense of eternity, saying, like, how am I going to be? I mean, like, how should I be, or how should I be like this, or how should I be like that? What I mean by eternity, you don't know when things are going to happen, so you have to work on yourself as best possible, you know. So, like, for instance, like, and because the new system is always coming, when do you get time? Where's the space for the future you? Like, I always think about, like, what type of person am I? What type of person do I want to be? I work on, like, several things to improve on, and I don't think about any limits. It's just like, I have to do this, and I have to continue to do very well. But as a Jehovah Witness, you don't have the opportunity to think about, like, how can I grow myself? You know what I mean? Like, in dealing with people, because they don't have to worry about dealing with people, because they're dealing with the same type of people. They're not the same type, but they're people who have to be the same way all the time. I mean, you have to put on a shiny face. I mean, or some kind of face in the congregation. You have that face that you have to put on, so you don't really. That's the only thing you really have to worry about. So you don't even get time. I like that. You don't get a chance time to work on your personality as a person. And that goes for even somebody who doesn't believe in, God, or who doesn't believe in religion and things like that. You still have to work on even conscience. Everybody has a conscience they develop. I know this one guy at work. He has a very good personality, and he said he doesn't believe in God, but yet he really, really works on his personality. And that's one point. It's just that. So he's further. He has more, how can I say, equipment. And those are things I call equipment. I mean, all the things I talk about is like equipment, things that you can work on and things that you have to be a better person. So these are really sad things, And the saddest thing about it is that people in that organization, because of these things, they could really mess up things for everybody else. And like I said, we're all in it together. We're all sinners. We all are in it together. So we have to do our part in straightening out something that's wrong. And not just that, but we have, a personal time. So I hope everybody enjoyed this one. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks a lot. Again, thanks a lot. Hope you're having a good New Year. It's February already. Can you believe that?